Brand New Day isn't a Spider-Man movie, it's a Peter Parker movie. Hello everyone, I'm Circuit Board Comics, and today we're going to analyze Brand New Day on a thematic and narrative level in order to get through the root of why this fourth entry in Tom Holland's Spider-Man series is gaining heaps of praise and historic box office success, even from MCU naysayers. If analysis of superhero fiction is your forte, then make sure to subscribe. We're aiming for 100 subscribers by the end of the year. Without further ado, here we go. Peter wrestling with what it means to be a costume vigilante is a constant within the source material, forcing a young man to balance a roster of women, chaotic work, and academic attainment on top of navigating a fantastical world of costumed villains are chief components of a secret sauce that has made Spider-Man achieve cross-generational appeal. There's a frame of reference, a relatability that the audience can buy into, on top of all the pulp goodness expected of a superhero fiction. Unlike most superheroes, you cannot have Spider-Man, the alter ego, without Peter Parker, the man, or vice versa. The stories cannot function as good fiction for long periods of time without the man and the hero being in a delicate dance. To quote Peter in Amazing Fantasy issue 17, a supplemental miniseries to the original Amazing Fantasy 15, I watch TV and I marvel. It's like there's two worlds existing at once. The world of heroes and monsters they show here on It's Amazing, a world I catch a glimpse of every time I see the Human Torch flying above the Manhattan skyline, and the one the rest of us live in, where a frail old woman has to work her fingers raw mending worn out clothes. But what happens if Spider-Man no longer wishes to live in two worlds at once, to exist in a mutual dance? What if one side wins over the other? Brand New Day asks this question, but it isn't the first Spider-Man movie to do so. In Spider-Man 2, Peter chooses to forego Spider-Man and live only as himself, to sell this following the certain triumphant promise of upholding responsibility in Spider-Man 1. We spend the first act of Spider-Man 2 watching this delicate dance of superheroism and self become an abusive dust-up. Peter can't hold a job. Peter's friendships with Harry and MJ start to crumble. Peter's familial ties with Aunt May are strained. And the culprit throughout all of it is Spider-Man. He can't make it to MJ's plays because Spider-Man has to stop criminals. He can't be in Harry's life beyond the superficial, like a birthday party, because he needs to take photos of Spider-Man, the vigilante Harry believes killed his father. As Peter's powers grow dormant, he makes the choice to quit being Spider-Man. Balance, equilibrium if you want to get geeky, is only re-established when Peter chooses to use his powers in service of saving MJ. They didn't return when Peter rescued the kid from the burning building. They didn't return when Peter made the ill-fated leap. They returned in service of Peter Parker, the smitten human being rescuing his love, not Spider-Man, the idea. Not Spider-Man, the extension of Uncle Ben's ideology. Guilt is a factor in why Peter is Spider-Man, but it cannot be the only driving force. Guilt by itself is not a strong enough motivator for heroism. In Brand New Day, the character is confronted by the same choice: reforge relationships with new dynamics, whatever issues that may bring, or sacrifice one side of himself. He chooses to give up Peter Parker. For most of the movie, Spider-Man is present and in the mix of death-defying action. He's disassembled the mob, he's earned the adoration of the public, and he's achieved goodwill with the establishment in question being the New York law enforcement, as well as the presumptive mayor, and in addition, damage control, a federal entity. This Spider-Man is no longer a vigilante operating purely out of his own ethical considerations, but as he explains to DeWolf in the film, a volunteer, a supplement to law enforcement. Yet, even with Spider-Man claiming so much screen time, things feel off. He's plagued by headaches and irritability, his apartment is a pigsty, his brief bouts as Peter Parker consist of e-stalking MJ and Ned and visiting Aunt May's grave, and his inner arachnid is beginning to overpower his humanity. The Spider is quite literally blotting out and taking over the man. The freedom to be a superhero dedicated to protection, or what he's initially led to believe is protection by damage control, is a hell of his own creation. The love Spider-Man gets in this film's first third is hollow. Peter fidgets with his key to the city apathetically as his suit, virtually his skin at this point, swirls in the wash machine. Spider-Man brushes off praise by the damage control stooge. He brushes off praise by the damage control director even. Throughout the film, Spider-Man is forced to confront warnings of what he could become should he let Peter Parker languish. Bruce Banner, someone who has a split persona, in the most literal sense, is on a razor's edge, forced to wear an inhibitor to keep the Hulk subdued, all the the while being teased and reminded by his students of the thing he can become, the thing he's trying to escape. He wrestles with what the good or bad of his own nature is, and ultimately fails to find a balance, and loses his shot at an ordinary life in the process. The Punisher is someone who seeded the idea of a civilian life long ago, and as a consequence is hollowed out. He is consumed totally by the persona, by the mission. Jean Grey, meanwhile, is a dark reflection of a Spider-Man. She's a lass so single-mindedly dedicated to their mission that she doesn't care who or what gets hurt. Jean's mission to save her sister kills, or comes close to killing many just as Spider-Man's own steadfast adherence to crime fighting nearly dooms Jean to torture and death. Loss turned Jean, at least for a time, into a monster, while Loss threatens to turn Spider-Man into a literal monster at worst, or an ineffective hero suppressing who he is at best. And it is not Spider-Man that rights this wrong and ultimately stops Jean from committing a mass travesty on the denizens of New York, but Peter Parker, the teenager from Queens who loved his mother figure, who took her words about self-love and responsibility as sacrosanct. Spider-Man without Peter Parker is an establishment husk, a violent brute who in this film nearly kills someone. The hero is and will always be Peter Parker, and if Peter Parker isn't nurtured, then the delicate dance falls apart. Brand New Day isn't a Spider-Man movie. It's a Peter Parker movie. It's a warning about what could happen if a superpowered, dispassionate justice takes precedent over the person beneath the costume, and their personal ethical considerations, as well as the erosion of humanity that alter egos, false selves, can cause.